In this video, we're going to break down all 14 affiliations under the brand new Premier format for Marvel Crisis Protocol, Timelines. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. I hope everyone is doing fantastic well. And yes, I know it's been a minute since I've done an MCP video. My head has been in Lorcana for the past couple of weeks. I've been absolutely loving that game. And I have just been taking a bit of time for myself to actually create content around Lorcana because I'm really enjoying it. That's not to say that I'm not enjoying Marvel Crisis Protocol at the moment, but that is the game that is definitely in my head, plus a couple of other things as well. I've just backed the deceased Zombicide. So Phil, aka the Swedish Troll, has been teaching myself, Glyn, Kendo, Ron and Quinn how to play Zombicide. So we've also been playing quite a few games of that as well. But I appreciate I haven't made a video on Timelines. Now, I did make a video, I then deleted my video. I did talk about it briefly in the painting live stream that I did, if you want to go check that out. But you can also check out an episode of House Party Protocols, where Will there invited me on. We had a bit of a roundtable discussion with a couple of other content creators as well, and gave our thoughts and talked through what we thought of Timelines, the rules and everything else. So I'll leave a link down to that in the description below. You should definitely go check out House Party Protocols anyway. But this video is going to be taking a look at all 14 affiliations, because yes, we do now only have 14 affiliations in the Timeline event, and where I think they rank from worst to best. And we're going to be taking a few things into consideration. We're going to be looking at the leaders, or leader in some instances, that they have access to, the other obviously characters in affiliation, and then the tactics cards in affiliation as well. I have looked at win rates and things like that, but it's really difficult to gain data and look at old data based on when people had access to everything. So I've not really done too much digging on the whole Longshanks data, and what I did find I don't really think is representative as what we're going to see in these new Timeline events. So without further ado, let's jump in and let's see what is ranked the worst at number 14. Okay guys, so coming in at number 14, and it pains me to say this because I've been playing with them so much of late and really trying to make them work, but it is going to be the Sentinels. They've got their 5-threat leader in Sentinel Prime Mark IV, who in and to himself is not a bad character, but what really lets this affiliation down is the absolute lack of other characters in there. Yes, you can take 2 Sentinel Mark IVs, but they're 4-threat each, and then your only other option is Cassandra Nova. She was in, then she was taken out, and then she's been put back in. So there have been a few changes to the affiliation list. But yeah, whilst I have had some success with them, it's been bringing in and using a lot of characters and indeed a lot of tactics cards that are no longer available in the Timeline event. Yes, we do have Directive 1, Online and Operational, and Scrap Metal as in affiliation tactics cards, as well as their best efficient machines. And I've also put Mental Domination in here as well because it is a tactics card for Cassandra Nova. But they really need some extra characters and some lower threat characters as well to really help them shine, because a lot of those other characters they're not going to have access to because you've got to build 3 rosters when you are playing Timelines. So I'm still going to try and make them work, but I do genuinely believe right now that these are the worst affiliation of the 14. Before we do get into number 13, guys, I do just want to make it perfectly clear, because I appreciate I didn't do it at the beginning of the video, that these rankings are just for the Timeline events only. These are not the normal games that you're going to be playing. They're a completely different format, and they're not going to be the sorts of games that you're playing at your local gaming store. So I just wanted to make that perfectly clear. But coming in at number 13 is going to be A-Force. They've got one leader in She-Hulk, and she's 6th threat. And while she does bring a really good roster of characters with her, we've got Shuri, Okoye, Black Cat, Spider-Woman, Domino, the new Captain Marvel Cosmic Avenger, and of course the new 4th threat Black Widow. I just don't think with that 6th threat cost for the leadership that they're going to be able to bring enough of the characters that they want, especially on like a 15 threat or something like that. They're really going to struggle when they're only 3 tall. The tactics cards that they are bringing, they've got A-Force Assemble, Stalwart Determination, and Special Delivery. And it's that Special Delivery for me that really becomes a problem. It was a big play for the A-Force, but they had characters like Wasp and Crystal and Angela with the big long move who can make this really impactful. And right now they're limited to only having Captain Marvel who can do this. They may get more characters in the future under these timeline rules, but right now for me, I don't think they're going to do very well. Coming in at number 12 is going to be, and again this one may surprise a few people, Wakanda. Yes, they have got access to 3 brand new leaders. Obviously M'Baku, who's been out for a little bit longer, but King T'Challa, Killmonger, Usurper, and then obviously Shuri and Okoye rounding it out. But I don't know what it is. I look at all of their leaderships and I'm not over enamored by any of them. And yes, they've got the whole push thing going on, the displacement thing, but it doesn't feel as cohesive as it did under the old T'Challa leadership, which is obviously now gone. They've lost OG Killmonger, who for me, threat for threat was just better than the new Killmonger. And M'Baku is absolutely fine, but he's so susceptible to energy attacks. They do have some reasonable tactics cards, and this is a preface that means that they could bump up depending on what some of these are. But so we've got the 3 that we know about there. But we do then have 3 other cards that we do not know what they are yet. So that could change things. And they do still have access to that Wakanda Forever, meaning that every single member of their affiliation can make a 0 cost attack, which could be really good and could be game changing for that one round. I just don't know if it's going to be enough for them to be able to compete against some of the other affiliations that are in this list. Coming in at number 12 then, and if it wasn't for them taking away that 2-threat Black Widow, I think they would have been quite a bit higher. But it is my beloved Winter Guard, led by Crimson Dynamo, obviously joined by the original members of the team, Ursa Major, Darkstar and Red Guardian, but only bringing along 2 of those 3 new characters that they got in Omega Red and Winter Soldier Operative. And as I say, they have lost that 2-threat Black Widow, and that was what was really helping them. The other problem that these guys have, and I didn't mention it about Wakanda, but they're only 5. I mean, these guys are 6. Wakanda were only 5, and those other characters you want to bring in good characters, and unfortunately, you're going to be wanting to use them in your other rosters for the most part. They do bring some pretty decent tactics cards with them. Winter Rush is a little bit meh, but they've got Sovereign Strike, which I've played it so many times and it catches people off guard. As individual characters, we've got some okay tactics in there as well. But I think they're going to struggle just with the size of their roster or the size of their affiliation under these new rules. Yes, you can pull in some Cabal or Avengers characters, as you can do with Wakanda, but I just think because of the size of them and the fact that, let's be brutally honest, Darkstar and Ursa Major are not the best 3 and 4 threats in the game, which really leaves you with just a core of 4 characters. I do think it's going to be really rough against some of the better affiliations for them. Coming in at number 11 then, and I was quite surprised when I put these guys so far down, I suppose, the list, but it is going to be the Brotherhood of Mutants. Yes, they are bringing two leaders with two very, very different play styles. We've got Magneto and Mystique. They've got some of their older buddies that they're bringing along. So they've got the Juggernaut, Toad, Sabretooth, Quicksilver, and then they've got some of their newer characters in Colossus, Pyro, the Blob, and Shadow King. But for me, one of their biggest losses, and whilst it's not a affiliated tactics card, is that loss of Deception for Mystique. So Deception is no longer a card that you get in this game. Asteroid M is really, really good. Let's not also forget Magnetic Refraction from Magneto as well. Plus, some of these other characters do have some really, really good cards. Juggernaut, Do You Know Who I Am? Pyro has got his Pyrotechnics. But I just think they're missing a little bit of something. And they're not going to have access to all of those other characters that they had previously. They have also lost Scarlet Witch, which I think is a big, big loss for them. Having that big mystic powerhouse, I think, would have really, really bumped them up. These are the ones that I'm probably the most cautious of. I think they have potential to move up, but I don't think we're going to get any new releases for them. I don't think any of the announced ones are going to be in there for them. So right now they are sitting in 11th place. Next up then, guys, is one of the newest affiliations, I suppose, when you talk about the leadership, but it is going to be Defenders, coming in at number 10 under Matt Murdock, the brand new Daredevil of Hell's Kitchen, with that Marvel Knights leadership. I think it's a really, really good leadership. He's bringing along with him Elektra and the Hand Ninjas, one of only two characters now under the new timeline rules that has access to grunts, so that could bump them up. They've also got access to, for me, Threat for Threat may be the best character under these new timeline rules, which is Wolverine. And then rounding it out, they've got Hawkeye, Iron Fist, Punisher, and Luke Cage. Obviously, Punisher being recently added in there. But their big, big problem is still going to be the fact that they have no tactics cards. And now, because generic tactics cards have been whittled down so much, and with the exception of, I would say, Heroes for Hire for Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and then exceptional healing, and then probably no matter the cost for Wolverine, they don't have a great access to tactics cards, even as individual characters as well. These guys could also get a bump in the form of the Shang-Chi and Silver Sable box. I'm 100% expecting them to be part of the Defenders affiliation. Whether they make it into the timeline or not will, yet to be seen. We know that AMG have put things in the timeline rosters or in the timeline affiliation list that haven't yet been released, but they've been announced, and we've seen the cards and things like that. So there is hope for them. I do think that they could, for me, I do think that they could get some extra stuff that will bump them up. But right now, they really, really need some tactics cards. And of the 3 or 4 places that we're going to see Wolverine be affiliated, I actually think right now, because of the lack of everything else that you've got, that Defenders is probably not the best place for him. Okay, guys, so coming in at number 8, whilst I don't think they are as good as they were under the original rules, which, let's be honest, most of these affiliations aren't, I do think they're an affiliation that are going to be played a lot as somebody's third affiliation, and maybe one that they do learn, but I don't think they're going to be as competitive as they were, and it is going to be Web Warriors. They now only have a single leadership with Spider-Man Miles Morales. And the reason for that is we obviously have no duplication of characters, and we've got the new spectacular Spider-Man that is taking the place of the amazing Spider-Man. Rounding it out, we've got Spider-Woman, Black Cat, Daredevil, and Venom. Some solid characters, a pretty solid leadership, quite a bit of tech, when it comes to control. But the big miss I think that they're going to really feel is the loss of Gwen Stacy. Now, when I was on the House Party Protocols, because we were sort of calling this out as, it's really weird that this is one that, like, Gwen Stacy is, doesn't have a duplicate character. She's not part of the original core box. She kind of didn't fit any of the criteria of why we wouldn't, have her in this list. And then I think it was Nate that mentioned there is a new version of Gwen Stacy coming out with Gwenom. So maybe we get Gwenom in the Web Warriors affiliation. They've also lost Moon Knight as well, which I think is a big loss for them. We all know how Aaron loves to roll those dice and pray to the gods. They do have some tactics cards. All Webbed Up is okay. Aunt May's Wheat Cakes, yeah. And Spider Tracker is pretty darn good. They've also got access to some pretty good tactics cards with the likes of Venom and Lethal Protector and those sorts of things. But I can really see these becoming somebody's third choice, because I think you can fill the roster out quite easily with other characters, and it is a pretty solid list of characters in and to itself. So expect to see them around quite a bit. I just don't think they're going to be as competitive as some of our others. Okay, guys, coming in at number 7, and you may not know what this symbol is because I had to search online for a Cabal symbol. Yes, Red Skull, Master of the World. I personally just don't think the new Red Skull is as good as what we thought, especially with the new rulings on him. And whilst his leadership is okay, and he has access to, let's be honest, a hell of a lot of characters. I think either the first or second biggest roster in the game. I think it is going to be an affiliation that you do see played quite a bit. But if you look at the characters that are on here, there are very few, indeed, if any, maybe with the exception of Mr. Sinister and Ultron, I want to say, that are not part of another affiliation. And I think that's really going to hurt them, because taking Cabal, whilst you've got access to a lot of characters, it's then going to limit the other affiliations that you can indeed bring. I still think they could do quite well, which is why I've put them sort of mid-table, if you like. They do have access to 2 cards. They've got the Dig-In card, which is Brooke Romlow's, or the new Crossbones, and also Dark Reign, which is not to be sniffed at. Getting full rerolls on a single character is really good. The problem is, with the exception of, let's say, maybe She-Hulk, there isn't those huge health pool, big defensive characters. You could maybe add Juggernaut in there as well, who you absolutely want to focus and take down. A lot of the big defensive tech now has disappeared. The likes of Original Cap, Black Panther, the Hulks, even to some extent, like your Dormammu's, your Cosmic Ghost Riders, those big hitters are no longer in the game. And I think for me, that lessens the value of Dark Reign. It's still really good, and it's there if you want to single somebody out and take them out. It's just not going to be on as big of a character as it was previously. Okay, guys, coming in at number 6 is going to be the Spider Foes. They've obviously got Green Goblin, who they've managed to keep hold of with his Oscorp weaponry, but they do have another 4-threat leader in Doc Ock, Sinister Scientist, with that Sinister Six affiliate leadership. I don't think it's that particularly good, his leadership, but I think as a character he's very strong, especially with that Arm Lasers 2.0 and that Incinerate. It's really going to help. And rounding out the roster, they've got some really nice characters with the likes of Rhino, Lizard, Mysterio, Venom, Kraven, and even Carnage could potentially do some work. I think they're going to be a very fighty roster. And the reason I've put them so high up is I think they're very good when it comes to fighting, or that attrition-based game. And I also think it's where potentially this game is going to more roll into. And why do I say that? Well, a lot of the jank, a lot of those really safe turn one plays where you could walk up, use eyes on the prize, and then walk back, they have all disappeared. So it's going to pull characters into the middle, it's going to leave them exposed, and I think characters like Venom and Carnage could actually really thrive in those situations. So Spider-Foes are one that I'm definitely thinking about trying out. They also bring oops, wrong way there. They also bring some tactics cards. Neo-Genetic Recombinator, I'm not a huge fan of. Sinister Traps is pretty darn good. Again, with the lack of safe play now, it does mean that Sinister Traps, I think, is going to be far more effective, especially now Eyes on the Prize has been taken away as well. Plus, they've got access to some other good tactics cards. With Mysterios, they've obviously got Ryan Aubrey, and again, they've got access to Venom, so they do also have Lethal Protector in there as well. Okay, guys, coming in at number 6 is going to be X-Force. Yes, the new and improved Cable with some new and improved friends as well, namely Wolverine and Colossus. I'm still not sure if Deadpool was better than what he was. I'm kind of leaning towards no. Also brings Psylocke. For some much needed and some very, very scarce mystic attacks under this new timeline format, with a lot of the cosmic and a lot of the mystic characters being taken away. Mystic attacks are now at a premium. And rounding it out, they're bringing Domino, Sabretooth, X-23 and Honey Badger. Those rerolls are really, really going to help most of these characters. Their tactics cards are a little bit lackluster. Dirty Work should really, really give VPs and not power. Pretty Sneaky Sis is kind of okay, but then really their big one is probably Cat and Mouse. But again, when we look at the characters that we've got in here, they do have access to some really nice tactics cards as well. I think I think X-Force could do really, really well. The only thing holding them back is that they have a lot of characters in here that another certain affiliation is going to want to use. But it is also worth pointing out that they do have access to two more things. First of all, Bishop is going to be part of X-Force, and we don't know what he's going to do yet. And he is going to be bringing a tactics card with him called Preserve the Dream. So that's going to be really interesting. He could shake things up completely. But again, there's another affiliation with arguably a better leadership for one threat less, who wants access to all but, I think, one of these characters that are in this list. So that may be one of the things that does hold X-Force back a little bit. Okay then, guys, getting into the top 5 now, and starting out at number 5, it is going to be the all-new Nick Furyless Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or S.H.I.E.L.D., should I say, led by the new Invincible Iron Man. This guy is just old Wakanda. It's rerolls for days. He's bringing some pretty good characters with him as well. He does have access to the Captain America First Avenger. He's got access to Spectacular Spider-Man, Winter Soldier Operative, the Black Widow, Spider-Woman, Taskmaster, and then rounding it out, we've got Hawkeye, War Machine, and She-Hulk. Tactics cards, we've got a much reduced roster of tactics cards to choose from. Battlefield Medicine, the Shield Mobile, Helicarrier Strike, Hard Reset, and Sit Rep. The big thing for these guys is that there is no Nick Fury and there is no Eyes in this, or Eye in the Sky. That card that you could just recycle and recycle and recycle. It was an absolute nightmare for anybody with a charge, but I still think that with the tactics cards and with the characters that they've got access to, they could be very strong. Again, they're going to struggle, and I almost consider some of these affiliations as almost like secondary affiliations, because if you're running Avengers, are you really going to be able to run S.H.I.E.L.D. alongside them? I would argue probably no. So I think there's a lot of consideration to take when you're going to be building out these three rosters. Because whilst you might just go, oh, well, I want to play Shield, I want to play Air Force, and I want to play Avengers, you're going to find it really, really difficult because there ain't enough characters to go around, or at least there ain't enough good characters to go around. But even considered completely standalone with access to all of these characters, I think Shield under Invincible Iron Man are going to do really, really well. The let's get an upgrade is a really, really good leadership, and I think they're going to do really well. Okay, guys, so coming in at number 4 and just missing out on a top 3 spot is going to be Criminal Syndicate. 2 leaders here. Claw, who is a 5 threat, who is the most selfish character. Sorry, a 7 threat even. So the highest threat character in the game. He is the only 7 threat, and I think outside of him there's only 2 6 threats, I want to say, but then also a 4 threat option under MODOK. They're bringing along some pretty good characters with them. You've got Omega Red, Elektra obviously coming with her grunts again, Mysterio, Kraven the Hunter, Green Goblin, Rhino, Taskmaster, Kraven, Black Cat, and of course Crossbones the Merciless Merc. Tactics cards wise, they've got some pretty good tactics cards. Bounty Hunters, Cruelty and Cruel Tutelage is kind of okay, but Shadow Organization is really, really good. But the thing that is really going to help these guys out is going to be all according to plan. This is just absolutely brutal, and it means that they can go on the offensive, they can daze characters and not have to worry about losing priority and having those characters come back fully powered and then do the same to them. It's really, really effective. I actually came up against MODOK Scientist Supreme in a game the other week, and I was really, really surprised at how well they actually performed. Yes, it wasn't under the new timelines rules, but even so, I think they could be really, really good indeed. Hence why they are in at number 4. Okay, guys, in 3rd place is going to be Hydra. Yes, this is the Hydra symbol. It's not Cabal, it's Hydra. They've got 2 leaders, Baron Helmet Zemo and Baron Strucker. Now, for me, Baron Strucker is still the best of the 2 of these leaders, but they also bring some really nice characters with them as well. They've got Arnim Zola, Taskmaster, MODOK Supreme Scientist, Spider-Woman, Red Skull Master of the World, Winter Soldier, who's very, very good in there. And I think these guys are definitely going to be one of the most successful affiliations in these new timeline events. They also bring some pretty good. Rounding it out even. They've also got Bob and Viper. How on earth could I forget 2 characters as prolific as Bob, Agent of Hydra, and Viper? But maybe, joking about Viper aside, she's got a long move, and the fact that she also dishes out conditions really plays into Baron Strucker's game. They bring some really good tactics cards as well, guys. We've got Scientific Method, Two Martial Rise, World Domination, High Council, Inevitable Betrayal. And I just think overall, they're a really, really solid affiliation already. And I don't think the timeline has hurt them too much. Yes, they've lost access to, certain things. I know Quinn was a big fan of putting Scarlet Witch under these guys as well because of what she can do, especially with that Whims of Chaos. But even without that, the access to all the different conditions that they've got, I think they could be really, really good. And I think they're definitely one to watch out for and one to definitely try out if you haven't tried their play style out before. Okay, guys, into the top 2, and just missing out on that number 1 spot is going to be the Avengers under Captain America First Avenger. Boy, does this guy have a roster of heroes with him. First of all, we've got Earth Mightiest Heroes. Basically, during the modified dice step when you're attacking, if you've rolled a hit, so any hit, you can spend 1 power and turn any other dice to any other result. Crit, fail, wild, whatever it is you need to fish for, you can just get it. Which is why, you know, look at the roster of characters that he has got access to. And by the way, guys, this isn't everything, but Deadpool has triggers that he's looking to get. Wolverine has triggers that he's looking to get. Cable has triggers, I would argue less so, as a character, because he's 5 threat. Winter Soldier has those triggers. Spider-Woman had those triggers. Captain Marvel under Steve, I think, is going to be absolutely crazy, especially when she flips into her binary form. And then rounding it out, you've got King T'Challa, Invincible Iron Man, and the Black Widow. But that's not it, guys. You've got some old friends in here as well. You've got Beast, Hawkeye, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Quicksilver, She-Hulk, War Machine. And yes, all of these characters are not all of the best characters in their game, but there's some very, very good characters. If you haven't tried out new Wolverine under new Steve, go do it. It is absolutely brutal what you can do to your opponent, especially when you've done the best at what I do, and you're counting wilders too. And as long as you're rolling 1 hit, you can spend 1 power to turn any other dice into a wild, which is then going to count for 2 successes for you. It's absolutely brutal. I think Avengers are, just purely because of the size of their roster, are going to do very, very well. And I think they're an affiliation you're going to see quite a lot, because I think you can build a roster and have not as much impact on some of the other rosters that are out there. You know, so for example, if you want to take yourself some Spider Foes, or you want to take yourself some Wakanda, maybe you can leave King T'Challa out of here. You've got no impact on Spider Foes. So I think they're going to be really, really good. They've got characters that are surplus and that are left over, so that you are going to be able to, you know, really build good second and third rosters as well. But watch out for these guys. I think they're going to be really good. It's a completely different play style under new Steve. It's far more aggressive. It's far more attrition based. Yes, this Steve does go down significantly easier than the older one, but he's also doing a heck of a lot more damage. This guy wants to be on the front line, using those Brooklyn ballers, using that charge that he's got, and really sticking it to the opponent. Rounding their roster out there, and they've got access to, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to put access to all cards that they've got access to with their characters on the screen. It's already busy enough, but we've got reserve members and second wind that they can use as tactics cards. But then obviously one of the big ones for them is going to be that Avengers Assemble. So again, these guys are going to be really, really good at the whole brawler piece, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how people manage to deal with them. Okay, guys, coming in at number 1, if you have not yet worked this out, I'll give you a second. Yes, it is the X-Men, led by the all-new Scott Summers, aka Cyclops. But let's not forget, guys, there is another leader that is coming for this affiliation, namely Professor X, that we have not yet seen. So there's going to be a second leader for this affiliation as well, bringing along with him his other new pals in the brand new Wolverine and the brand new Colossus. And when I say brand new, I mean the new versions of the card. For me, as a core for any affiliation out there at, what is this, 12 threat, it is so good. It is so good. And what else makes these guys very, very good is their power generation. Their power generation is unbelievable. And all you need to do is get 1 power onto Wolverine round 1. You can use a To Me My X-Men to get him up the board. He can even use a No Matter the Cost along with the Best at What I Do to do a Berserker Barrage round 1 and absolutely annihilate anybody in his way. They can go wide, they can go taller, and I just think they're really, really good. Rounding out the affiliation then, we've got Cabal, Nightcrawler. If you guys caught my Nightcrawler video, he is insane. Shadowcat, Jean Grey, Psylocke, and then some older friends in X-23, Beast, Domino, and Honey Badger. Yes, they have lost access to Storm. You'll also notice that there is no Gambit and there is no Rogue in this list either. Another couple of characters that I was quite surprised that were left out, but they're not here. But they do not care. They have got such a good roster in front of them that you can just take a pure X-Men affiliation even under these new timeline rules, and it's still going to be very, very strong indeed. They've brought some tactics cards with them as well. They've got Cerebro, Children of the Atom, To Me My X-Men, which is very, very strong. They've also got Mind Wipe. And of course, they've also got Mind Wipe, which we haven't yet seen yet. And speaking of things that we haven't seen, they're also going to have access to not only Bishop, but also Iceman as well. So again, two other characters to add into this already pretty big roster. Yes, it's not quite Cabal or Avengers level, but once you add those two in, it is not far off. And you would imagine that they're going to be a couple of 3 threats or maybe a 3 and a 4 threat. And, hopefully they're going to do some good stuff. We know AMG now have a new love for mutants, or at least good mutants in this game. So, yeah, and then rounding it out, you've also got access to that brand new card, Xavier's Dream, which is just absolutely amazing. And for me, guys, X-Men right now, with everything that we've seen, with everything that we've got access to, and before any more changes, I think are the #1 affiliation under the new timeline event rules. And there we go, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. I will apologise. I know it has been a minute since I have made any MCP content. Like I say, I was just taking a little bit of a rest for myself. I'd just come back off WTC, ended up doing quite a few things around that and did get a little bit of fatigue. So hopefully you can forgive me. But rest assured, it is going nowhere on the channel. Guys, usual things. I want to give a big shout out to all of our Patreons for supporting the channel. You can support it from as little as £1 a month, but you don't need to go to you don't need to go to Patreon to support us. Simply just liking, leaving a comment, and making sure you've hit that subscribe button really, really does help. We're on our road to 6,000 subscribers. My personal goal is to try and get there before the end of December. If we can do, we're going to do a big giveaway on the channel. We always try and do giveaways on this channel, guys. We've given away so much this year already. But if we can get to that 6,000, so if you're not subscribed and you're watching this video, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our other content as well. Also, guys, head on over to the Discord. It's completely free to join. It's where we post all of our events. We cover MCP, we cover Shatterpoint, we cover a whole bunch of stuff on there. So go and check that out as well. And as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, bye for now.